Welcome to 12D Synergy Client Collaboration for version 4. In this video we'll look at tasks, teams, forums, notes and notifications. For tasks, each 12D Synergy job contains tasks to describe work that must be completed. These tasks can be used to create workflows or to-do items. Each task has a variety of different settings, most of which are optional. Some of these include name, type, the priority, the status, the current progress, who it's assigned to, a start and end date, and a description. To create a task, come underneath the job and you'll see task lists, and come up to the ribbon and select new. At the top we give it a name. Below that you have an optional ID, so you might have a task with the same name, so you can give it optional prefix or suffix. You can also choose a color, just like the ones in the background, so how they display. You might associate a certain color to a particular type of task. Then we have type. The standard type of task that gets shipped with 12D Synergy is generic, a simple to-do task. However, an administrator can set up types to suit standard workflows with the organization. For example, a standard quality review process. Underneath that you have the priority, so you have different options there, and then you come to who it's assigned to. So you can either start typing the name, or you can come across and hit the browser and select either a contact or team role. For this one we're going to select contact. And here you can use the quick find, so again start typing the person's name, or you can use the name filtering options below. Okay. If it's being assigned to yourself, you always have the Me shortcut button. Underneath that you have the start and due dates. Plenty of options here, just click the options button. You can see no date, fixed date, there's a relative to start date, all those types of things. Okay, we're going to use a fixed date for this one. It will default to the current date. And for the due date, we could also use a fixed date, or in this case I'm going to use a relative to start date. And then I'm going to give it +7. So we have 1 working week to complete this task. Just note, start and end dates can be set as a fixed date, as you've seen from the calendar, or they can be set relative to a parent task date as well, or the due date can also be set relative to the start date, like that one. We come down the bottom, and in the description field you type the message of what has to be done. So in this case it's do monthly progress report. Basically it's a message to whoever you're assigning the task to. I'm not going to do attributes here. You can make tasks dependent on another task, we'll come back to that one. You can set reminders, so in this case you can come down, hit the plus button, and we can set a reminder, say 3 days before the task is due, and you can have it recur, or you can have it many different options here. And then you select who the task reminder is for. So in this case you have many different options again. I'm just going to assign it to me because I'm the assignee. Then we hit create, and you can add as many reminders as you like. We can also set a CC, so we can let somebody else know that this task has been set. Again, come down the bottom and hit the plus button, and you have options of who to assign the task to. In this case we might go for a role, and we could pick the project engineer. You can also associate the items with the task. So tasks can be associated with other items in 12D Synergy. So if you associate a task with a file, folder, 12D model project, etc., it will alert the user to which item the task is referring to. Checking in that item will also prompt with the option to update the task as well. Okay. So at this point, if a document was already created, it can be associated to the task. So I'm going to come down and hit the plus button. You can see the list of items that you can associate to a task. There's plenty there. In this case, it's going to be a file. It'll bring up the search criteria. Okay, we can go in and look for Emu Park. In this case, brings up the search panel. We can go and look for our Emu Park job. Select the Emu Park job and then browse through the folder structure to find the file we're after. At which case it'll bring up the folder search folder structure for that job, and we can browse through it, find the report we're after and select it. Now we can put in a comment for the association. In this case it'll be just report to complete and hit submit. When all that is done, you can then hit create to create the task. It's also worth noting here that the task can be created from a file through the right click menu. This method will automatically associate the file with the task. At this point, the person will receive a notification that they have a task to do, and if they go and edit that report, so yes, we're going to check it out. We'll come in here and we'll put in, say, stockpile volumes, and we'll go fill, cut, total. We'll save, close that down, and then we'll check it back in. So volumes started, and hit submit. You can see the task reminder now pops up because it's associated to a task. So we can go, well, actually we are now in progress and we are, say, 80% done. Then I can hit set, and if we go back to our task list now, we can see for that monthly report that it is in fact now in progress, and you can see the progress bar 80% complete. Okay. Also has a reminder over here of when it's going to be due. If a task is overdue, it will come up in red writing with the dates, and it'll say how many days overdue it is. Dependencies and actions. Tasks can be dependent on one another. So this can be for information purposes, or it can be used for dates or actions. Actions provide basic workflow capabilities. You can instruct a task to react when, say, all the tasks it depends on are closed, or when the task is due to start. In both cases, you can nominate to change the state to something else. And it will send an email to the owner, assignee, and the CCs. This allows you to continually notify people involved with a set of work items or tasks when they should begin their work. So, under the task that we just created, we're going to create a new one as a child. Just the same task format, so we're going to fill it out again. This one will be to review report. Again, we're going to leave it as generic. We'll change its priority. We'll set who it's going to be assigned to. But this time we're going to use a team role. And we'll select the project engineer. Our date this time, well, we're going to make it relative to the parent due date. And we're going to say 1 day after. And then, like we did for the last task, we're going to make it relative to the start date, and we're going to give this project engineer 2 days to review it. Just note you can use negative numbers in here, so you can bring these dates inside the overall original task dates. So we come down the bottom, again you've got your description, so it's, you know, review the monthly report. This time we're going to make it dependent, so we come to Dependent tab, we hit the plus button, and we can select the task it is dependent on. So it's our last one there, that monthly report. So select that. Now you've seen reminders and CCs and associations, so I'm not going to do that again. We're just going to hit create. And there we go. We now have a subtask. When a task is created, however, we can then select it again and hit edit. And this will give us another tab option, and that is actions. And in here we can assign when all tasks that this task depends on are closed. We can say change state, and we can say, well, then we're going to change it to in progress. Or when this task is due to start, we could do the same thing. We could change the state, or perhaps we just send an email to who's responsible for this task. So go submit on that. It's going to ask for a history description, so I'm going to go manual description here, and we're going to put in here actions assigned to activate the task when due to start. Hit submit, and there we go. Our task is linked to our other task there. So what does this mean? Well, so let's say the first task gets completed, and it might get completed early. So they open it up and they edit it, and they go, this task is now complete or closed. So yes to 100%, go submit. I'm going to use my predefined description here because the task is now complete. So you can see that closes that task and automatically makes our child task go to in progress, and the project engineer will receive an email as well. So that's how you can link tasks together. Teams. Under each job is the option to have teams. Now these can be used for several things, including permissions, but they're also beneficial for using in things like tasks. Instead of using a contact name, you can assign a task to a role. Therefore, if that role has changed, say a person leaves the project and is replaced, the task is not lost. So it's often best to assign items like tasks to a team role instead of a person. So therefore, if that person leaves the job and is replaced by somebody else, it can be updated in one location, and the new person inherits the task list. So simply to do that, come and pick on who you want to change. You got options there. In this case we want to change it, and we're going to change it to me. Okay. And if we come to our task list now, and this might need a refresh, so instead of going out of the job and back in, I'll just reactivate it. And there you go. You can see I've got a lot more tasks in my list now because I've inherited the project engineer role, including our review the report. Next item is forums. Also optional under each job is a forum. Forums are a great way for users to communicate with one another with regard to a specific job. A job can contain one or more forums, each of which is broken down in terms of user-defined categories. You can create multiple forums. However, if you create just one forum, it will always be named forums. When posting in a forum, you can incorporate files and images from within 12D Synergy. So in this case, if we go to our forums and expand it, you can see I have broken these up into, say, different disciplines. So we might come to either our general or survey area. And in here we're going to create a new category. So come up the top, hit add category, and we're going to call this one site visits. You can give a description as well if you wish. Hit add and go OK. And then under the categories we can select that and we can create different topics. So in here we're going to create a topic called what to bring. Underneath that you can type whatever information you want. So in this case maybe we go, okay, well, you're going to need PPE gear, you're going to need water and sunscreen, and you can keep going. Then we can select post, and yes, I'll view my post, and that's what a forum post looks like. We can notify people of this post from here. So we can click the notify button, we can go and do a quick search, or we can add a team, or you can just hit the plus button and be selective of who you want there. In this case I'm just going to hit find, so it brings up my list of contacts, and then I can do even a multiple select. So I might select these three guys. Then select use. I'm going to choose manual description here, and then I'm going to write the note. So maybe go items for site and go submit. There you go. So notifications are sent now. Okay. Now if one of those team members decides to reply to this forum, I can also check this box here, which means it will notify me of any replies. The notifications are done through Outlook. Just note, you can watch an entire forum or category, not just the particular note. Alright, with forums you can insert images and hyperlinks, and the reason for this is they're written in HTML code. So if we edit this forum and we come and choose the source button here, you can see the HTML code. What this means is, besides these basic editors across the top here, we can come to the second last button and we can insert an image. You can pick it locally from within 12D Synergy. I'm going to go local, and we're going to browse to that image. And select open, and that inserts the image into your post. All I have to do then is hit post again, and that will update the forum post. The other item we can do, if we go and edit it again, is insert a hyperlink. So using the end button here, we can go link, we can give it a name, so it might be something like safety. You can put directly into the link path a full website, so it must be full, like HTTP, it's got to have the semicolon, the 2 forward slashes, www dot, and whatever the website may be. Okay, so that's one option. The other option is you can link it to an area from within your 12D Synergy by hitting from 12D Synergy. This will give you options here. Pick from the down button. I might associate a folder to this one, and then it'll bring up the browser. So I'll just link it to the safety folder. And then we hit the link button. and then create, and that puts the link in there. So when I go post gets updated again, and there's the link. They can go and read the safety information inside that folder. Or if it was a website, it would divert them to the website. Notes. Notes are available at job, individual task, folder, and individual file levels. Notes are like post-it notes, but they will stay with the item even if it moves. So our locations here are at the job level, you have a notes tab. At a task level, we can open up a task, and you can see there's a notes tab inside the task. If we go to a folder, you have a notes tab at the folder level, or at the file level, if you pick on the file, you also have a notes tab down the bottom here. So an example of a note. Come to report. We could select a file, and then we could come down and create a new note. Now, notes could be used for any number of reasons, whether it's just extra information, could be ideas, could even be notes regarding a phone call on a particular topic. But the subject here, so I'm just going to go, let's say it's an idea, and then you type what the idea is. What about doing? Whatever it may be. And then you go save. You then have the option to notify somebody of that note. Okay? Or you can just leave the note for yourself. So now when you pick on that note, you'll see that there is one note associated to that file. And there they are down the bottom. You can pick on them and you can reply from them, or you can even delete the notes. But no more losing those little yellow post-it notes that are stuck onto your monitor edges. Notifications. Notifications are sent out as emails. The templates for the email notifications can be edited by your administrator. So setting a notification for yourself. This could be something like keeping an eye on an XREF folder. So if any changes occur, you're aware of it. Simply right-click on the folder, come down to Other, and then across to Notifications. Here you'll have a list of notifications that you can set for yourself. So in this case, maybe I want to know if a file is added to this folder, or even if a new folder is added. And then perhaps maybe I want to know if something is checked back in, because that means it has been changed. Then I hit Submit, go OK, and then I can close that panel, and I will receive an email notification if any of those items occur. Now, depending on your permissions, you can also set notifications for others. So to do this, there are a couple of ways you can do this. When checking something back in, check it in, go manual description, you type whatever the description is. So it's added, and then at the end of your description, if you type the @ symbol and then start typing the person's name, it'll bring up a list. I can select it from there, and when I hit Submit, that other person will now receive a notification letting them know that this file has been checked back in. Another example of a notification is setting it for, say, a folder. If we click on the folder, we go right click, and again this is dependent on permissions, go Edit Folder, and inside there, if you come down to rules, and then across to the notifications tab, you can then select things like a file is added to this folder, and then you can add recipients. Now recipients can be individual users, they can be roles, or they can be groups. So maybe I go role for this one, and I select the drafting group. Just got to make sure you hit save before you exit the folder editor. Notifications can be set on a particular file as well. You can click on that file, you can come up to properties, and again come across to the notifications tab and do the same thing. Pick what notifications you want, add a recipient, hit save, and then close the panel.